Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we'll be taking a look at the track Cellar by the Canadian alternative metal band Spiritbox. This is the third track from their upcoming EP Fear of Fear, which does land on November 3rd. And it's something that they seem to really enjoy doing, releasing EPs as opposed to full albums. We've only had Eternal Blue from 2021. Since then we have had the Rotoscope EP from 2022. But I feel like because they're a band that like to explore so many sounds and styles, maybe they like using these EPs to confine certain thoughts into their EPs rather than having to commit a full album to putting their ideas into music. And with this EP we've already got to hear Jaded, a song about loneliness and self-doubt, as well as The Void, about having that feeling of emptiness. So we've certainly seen them really impacting on a couple of heavy messages with these first two tracks they have released. It'll be interesting to see if this track does the same. So will this latest single be confined to the dark or see the light of day? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds. Well, this is definitely going to be probably the heaviest track we've seen from the band, probably even heavier than Holy Roller tracks from that Eternal Blue album. And I love with the opening how we get this really frantic drums and these really eerie sounds. Sounds like a song that's almost bringing about the apocalypse almost. It feels like nightmares. It feels like monsters hunting you down in your sleep. It's very dark and it's very atmospheric in the way it's building in these very etchy, creepy sounds from the guitars and also for the drums, really kind of showing this idea of almost this chase, this thing lurking in the dark that's reaching out to grab you, almost hanging with that idea of the cellar door as well, the things that lurk in the dark, the things that almost lurk in the basement, your fears and the things that you are so severely scared of that you try and lock them away behind a door almost. So it really fits in with the actual EP that we have got. And from the lyrics we start to see this idea of time is always there to catch my fall. So the fact that you think that time will heal all things, but maybe it doesn't. I carry it in something beautiful. So you kind of try and look maybe forward towards a brighter future, but you're kind of held back by this fear, this cellar door into my open soul. And I really like the use of this lyric because of the simple fact that it's talking about a cellar door, not just a normal door, a cellar door into a place of darkness, a place that's typically quite cold. And we start with the chorus as well, the idea of this cold mirror, making great use of very simple structured sentences and words that really reflect this creepy cold atmosphere very cleverly. The idea of loop is closed, just to go to the depths. Again, just showing this thing below ground almost, just really showing this darkness, really enveloping in the visual style that's coming through as well.
Transform my death into a conduit. This body separate from the fear of fear. The sight of coping mechanism of monotony. I will destroy the deprivation that I
as we move through this second verse, I'm starting to kind of feel like this track is revolving quite heavily around the idea of kind of constantly failing, trying to achieve something, but that fear that holds you back, and you just keep trying, and that fear of failure that really comes through. The multiple companies that are really just trying to move their way forward, crawl their way forward, like they're crawling in the dark. I will destroy the double vision that I was forced to leave. So this kind of confusion, this kind of way that you constantly look at something and just kind of get blurred by it because fear holds you back, and you look for these excuses to stop you doing something. Inside a coping mechanism of monotony, you try and try and try, but you keep failing. You develop that fear of failure, and that stops you from being able to go on and do certain things. The song can also kind of look at the idea of death as well, that fear of death. Transform my death into a conduit, this body separate from the fear. So when you die, you no longer fear anything because you don't really feel anything. So a couple of different ways this track could go. I'm also kind of quite curious about the kind of visuals as well. It almost looks like something from the Matrix a little bit. So it could be the idea of disassociating, or that fear of not fitting in with society, things like that. There's so much kind of being crammed into one song, and it's not really specifying itself towards one specific idea. Well, that definitely was kind of what I'd imagine gets played in my nightmares when you have them. The idea of these things lurking in the dark, these monsters almost, and that certainly came quite through very strongly on the track, and especially aided by the fact that they built the sounds around these ideas. You had these really wiry guitars coming in, this eerie setting that they actually built up, and again, these drums that really came in very heavily in kind of this chase almost, this monster lurking. So I love the way they set up the music to really show this idea, and it certainly seemed like it was this fear that was holding somebody back, kind of this fear that takes the shape of a monster and prevents you from escaping it. You're looking for that key to escape your fear, to move forward and escape that cellar almost. So this imprisonment that's really coming through, trying to find the key for the door, trying to close the loophole and get out of this cycle that you've been stuck in, where you are scared so heavily that it stops you from actually doing anything because you feel like you're trapped in the depths, trapped in the cellar, and there's a door blocking your path. So I really like the way that the lyrics seem to fit in with this idea they've got going on with this EP, this fear of fear, this things that can hold you back and stop you from doing things, and the idea of so tear my lungs out in the breakdown, just this idea of screaming in fear, being scared of something. So you can really see how every element really kind of is quite strongly, it's fitting around this almost horror theme that we have got coming through. You can imagine that song being used in a horror film or something like that. It certainly was very dark. Who could have known I would fall so hard starting over? So this idea again of constantly failing at something, that failed escape maybe from that fear. So I love the way that a lot of the elements really did fit into this, and that cold mirror as well, making great use of the words that especially really helped to emphasize this dark, cold atmosphere that they really wanted to build around with the idea of a cellar. But I love the way that the music certainly atmospherically captured the exact sound and style that they were looking for. So that will be everything for today's video, but as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this track in the comments section below. Are you glad to see them moving back towards a heavier style, probably the heaviest we've seen from the band so far, or did you prefer the more melodic soundings that we did have on The Void and Jaded? Speaking of those two tracks, I have covered them in previous videos, so if you do want to check those out, I will post a link to those in the description of this video. And if you'd like to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next Dojo analysis.